Hey guys, Andy Yen, spoken label, back in the house on a Sunday afternoon. Phew, yeah, it's a bit cooler today. Thank God. Because last time I did a podcast live in the studio last Sunday, it hit 33 in my little studio here, and it was boiling. Oh, it was hard work. Really, really hard work, but good fun, but hard work. Now, we're over to the South Shields and is a part of England then, as a part of the world then, to meet a young gentleman today. I met in person a couple of weeks ago, and he doesn't know this yet, but he charmed the pants off of me and Amanda, he did. And she's not shut up about him in a positive way since. And believe me, anyone knows Amanda like I do, when she doesn't like somebody, I know about it quite quickly. But she loves this young gentleman. So we've got the marvelous Lee McShane with us today. Now, Lee, obviously, tell us a little bit about yourself first of all, mate. Because obviously, no, you're in South Shields now, but you aren't from that area originally, are you? Or am I wrong
I
there?
am. I was
Oh,
born in South Shields. Yeah.
I'm talking bollocks then.
Just no, from South Shields. I'm Lee. I'm an actor, filmmaker, published writer, poet, done stand-up comedy, and I like to keep myself busy, really.
Yeah, that's what part of the reason why I wanted you on today, mate, because people will know we've been talking. When you came to the last speakeasy, didn't you, in person a couple of weeks ago? And obviously, through two lady mutual friends of ours, who I'm not going to name because they both asked me to shut up mentioning them in the podcast. So both of their names are going with C. That's all I'm going to say today, right? And they know who they are. So, but obviously, like you said before, yeah, and we met at one of Ashley Edge's workshops, didn't we? The other month, if my memory
We
is correct,
did.
wasn't it? Yeah, and I
I
really
can't
enjoyed
remember
your
which
work
one it
then.
was though.
As all due respect, Ash, I've slept since then, so I couldn't tell you. So, but anyway, listen, mate. Anyway, we're here not to about me because I wanted to get you on today because over we've been chatting last couple of weeks. And what I like about you, Lee, is you like me. You're a man. I, I hate the word dabbles, but I see a way I can think of describing it. You dabble with a lot of directions in your creativity, and this really interested me. So, take us back in time, then, mate. Before we start, I want to learn what was the first creative endeavor you did back at school.
I'm gonna have to go back a while now
Oh,
because
well, I'm
I
53, mate,
remember
so I go further back than you, mate. So, so
just turned 29 yesterday, so I'm feeling it.
oh, I
But
might, I might read out that limerick I wrote for you later. Oh, yeah, right. Sorry, mate.
Um, so it was, I remember being interested in writing early on, but I never really did anything. But the one thing I do remember is I was about 8 years old and we were doing this project in English and it was like writing the story
Hmm.
in it was over 3 lessons and I remember just writing about it was this like a Roman gladiator person going like on a mission, and the teacher was saying that I really surprised her with how well I was doing, and I was thinking okay, but then at the end she says she was a bit disappointed with how it ended, and I'm thinking I don't know, probably overthought it, but that was probably when I first like started writing something. That's where the creativity did start because it was around the same time when I got into acting as well.
Ah, right. And that's my next question, actually. So I know you obviously performed in quite a few school plays. So I was wondering whether it's at the same time. So that makes sense and straight away. And I know you've been a member of quite a few local theatre group companies as well, haven't you? So,
I have.
uh, tell us about that then, before we go into your first screen credit, which I want to learn more about in a minute.
Okay. Well, always did like, the Christmas plays and everything, the nativities. And never really like, took it serious. I was everything from a sheep to just someone sitting on the edge who just sings. But it was the end of year play because in my primary school, every year 6 class before they leave, they put on a play. And the one we did was a mix of a Dad's Army episode
Oh, wow.
and the filament. and the film A Nightingale Song.
Hmm.
I think that's the name of the film. And I played the granddad from A Nightingale Song. So like what it would be was like 20 minutes of that, then Dad's Army one, and then we would flip back and forward. And after the end of the play, in weeks after, I was getting people come up saying how amazing I was, how fantastic it was. The music teacher who directed the play told me I should apply for like an acting summer school, said I was really good at it, to continue, keep on going at it. And that was when I was thinking, I was like, I want to be an actor from the age of 10 because of all the compliments I got then, got told that, I'm a natural.
Oh, that's great. That's a really good story, that mate, indeed. So, no, fantastic. Now, obviously, you had your first film credit, I can see, or screen credit, they call it, was in a
Yeah.
short film called The Exchange. Did this come round about the same time, did it then?
Oh no, this was later.
Oh, I was just like, I thought it might have been later. I couldn't have seen your parents have been
Yeah.
happy seeing you doing film tests in your antenna or something, mate.
No, 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 no. No, no. I left school in 2000, the primary school in 2006. The screen credit didn't come until 2016.
Oh yeah, a couple of
So
years
10
later then.
years,
So
10
yeah,
years.
10 yeah. Yeah, that's fair enough. Well, tell us about that anyway then. And obviously then I want to ask you a bit more about your acting stuff as well. So
So originally, first credit was meant to be in a short zombie horror
oh,
set in an ele set in an
oh,
elevator.
oh, brilliant.
And that didn't come around because the company couldn't get permission from the university to shut the lift off. So that got canned. And I don't remember how I found the role. I think it was on Facebook. But it was a short crime thriller action where I played a henchman and had to do stunts and everything because I had to get shot. I had to hit a bar and I had to fall down, act like I got shot. And I remember being bruised from that because they put a little bit of padding down, but needing to fling yourself against the bar and on the floor about 15 times. But no, it was really fun. It was a 12-hour day over North Shields in the exchange. And I was just really like looking forward to because I like obviously hadn't done a film before, learning because being on the stage, yeah, it's one thing. Being in front of a camera, having to do it a very completely different style, it's something you have to learn fast with. And lucky for me, I learned it immediately on the day.
No, fair play to you. It's not, I've done both. And you're right, it's the different challenges in different ways because with obviously doing theatre work, you have to memorize if you've got a major role. There's a massive amount of text you've got to remember. And when you're dyspraxic like me, you're buggered from the off of that one. But when you're doing like, say, films and stuff for TV people, you move from scene to scene. And in some ways, it's very different. But yeah, no, I get it completely with that. So obviously, in your case, then, obviously, I do know you studied acting, didn't you, at Gateshead College
I
and
did, yeah.
achieving a level three MVQ with DDM marks. And it looks like your writing came along really when you were about 14. Is that about right then, properly, was it?
It was when I was 14 was when I properly started, not just, writing little bits here and there. When I was 14 years old, when I was like, I'm going to start taking it serious, started writing properly and never really got published anyway. Just writing in a book. Like upstairs, I've got loads of notebooks, big ones, and they're just full of pages of writing that I did back then. But yeah, that was 14 years old when I was like really being like, I kind of think writing would be good for me. It was the same time when I tried poetry for the first time as well.
Yeah, you already told me about this. You've had, you're on your, obviously people are wondering, will they check you out now? This is, I know you're properly doing it now, but this is like your third attempt, isn't it, properly? Because I know you
Yeah.
said, I seem to recall you telling me you got books of absolute dribble when you're about 14 and a
Oh
little bit
yeah.
later, and obviously nowadays.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah, indeed. So obviously, tell us next about your screenwriting, because I know this has come along later on, hasn't it, with your short films as well.
It was like a year later, yeah.
Mm.
Well, originally when I first when was it? Like 2011. I was like, I'm never screenwriting, never doing it. I did something in 2012 for that was a stage play though. That was for me sixth form drama group, and I had to write like I think it was like a 20-page scene, and I was like, I don't want to. I don't like it. Fast forward to 2017 was when I wrote my first screenplay, and like I was doing that regular writing got chucked out the window for years. Like only picked it back up again in 2024. So like screenwriting was my main go-to from 2017, and it was a fun challenge to learn because like I'll go back and look at the first one I did and the second one I did, and being like, oh my God, like, seeing all like the mistakes where I'm like, I know what to do now, and it's like it is a good learning curve though because you're never going to be amazing at anything at the first time, but like how much I've improved and all the stuff that I've managed to get made because when you earn money from something you wrote, it is really weird. Like when I got paid for a script, it's like I got paid for something that came out of my head. This is just feels weird.
Now I can relate to that. Later, I'll tell you, telling you before what I've got coming up at the moment. So you do it's. I think any art of writing, it takes you time to learn to master one thing. But obviously, with you now back on the poetry side of things again, and this is, as you said before, it's your third real attempt at it. Now you've obviously you can obviously write, and I've seen enough examples, you can write you can master obviously of mediums. Has it proved easier now to go back to do poetry? Yeah.
I'd say it has, yeah. It's definitely something that's helped on that aspect of knowing what to do, really, and just being creative like that. Because, like they say, writing is like a muscle. The more you do it, the stronger it gets.
Yeah, no, I agree. Agree with you completely with that one straight away with it. So, what made you want to try and do poetry again now then? Because you said already it was 2000 last year, wasn't it?
It's a funny story because I probably wouldn't have got into it if it wasn't for one of the people we mentioned, if it wasn't for Charlotte.
Hi, Charlotte.
And
I promise you, not me this time. Not
Charlotte,
me.
you can blame me. I mentioned you. And it was January. She messaged us and was like, do you have any fantasy stories? I was like,
Pardon?
no, not really, but I can write one. I was like, why? She said, oh, it's because my friend Ashley is putting together an anthology and I want you to submit to it. I was like, oh, okay. I wrote two stories, sent them off, and one of them got accepted, which is Away with the Fairies, Poetic Edge, August 17th. And Charlotte said, come along to Prickly Pear. And I was like, okay, cool. And everybody there was reading poetry, and I was the only one who read like a short story. And I was thinking, well, this felt a bit awkward. And I was like, the next time I'd do one of these, because Ash said to us, I want you to come along to the next one we do. I was like, I'm going to read a poem or two. And so it was after that I decided to write some poetry, and it was like, it's probably rubbish. Went to that, God, what was it? Because it was a big gap, I remember, from January. I think it was March
Yeah, it was
this year.
March. Yeah, I
And
remember.
I
Yeah,
did,
there was a gap.
yeah. And I read the poem thinking, oh God, they're going to hate it. And but no, it turns out they liked it. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do more of the poetry. And it's worked out. It's been published a lot this year as well.
Yeah, you've had quite a few publications come up. I could mention one from my side. You've been publishing Amanda's Substack page. I know you have on autism, so
Yes.
yeah, which was a very good read as well indeed. So, but like, yeah, now obviously there's a good story behind this, and now you've named her, I will name her again, Charlotte. Tell us about your adventures and when you met Charlotte. I think it was at the first time in person at the Cheltenham
First time in
Poetry
person
Slam.
after,
Cheltenham
yeah.
Poetry Slam. Because that sounded like you when you came up to Manchester, met me and Amanda. You had a journey there. But this sounds like it paled in comparison to going to Cheltenham and back for the day.
Oh, that journey. It
Yeah.
was an experience and a half. It was just something I did on a whim, like one night, because Charlotte had been posting about being in the Cheltenham Poetry Slam, and I was like, I'm going to go just for the crack of it. And so I booked a ticket, and the first words out of Charlotte's mouth when she saw my story of me saying I've booked the ticket was, "What have you done?" But no, it was fun. It was like literally 20 hours, I think, altogether spent on a coach. And yeah, I was originally just going to be a member until the day before. And literally just on the afternoon, got a message from Charlotte saying someone's dropped out. They're looking for more people. I want you to apply. I was like, why? She was like, you're coming anyway. I was like, okay, I'll apply. And then never thought I'd hear anything back. And then like 10 minutes later, I got accepted in. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, Charlotte, what have I done? She was over the moon, like. But no, it was fun. A long journey because I left. My coach was at 10 to 6 in the morning. And I got to Cheltenham for 5 o'clock on the night time.
Oh, good grief.
And yeah, but no, it was really fun. I don't know how I got the energy, just like, especially meeting Charlotte in person for the first time was like, oh my God, this is meant to. I don't have the energy right now to process this.
Yes, a lot.
And just that, it was a fun coincidence that in the poetry slam, I was in the same round as her, so it was basically me v her. And I was like, I'm finished, I'm cooked. But
Yeah.
she won that round, and I was cheering the loudest for her. I was like, go on, get in. And I can't describe, but like when they read her out as the winner, I was it was like it felt like a dream. I was on the phone to Kay Jenkinson because she wanted updates. I was like, she's won. And Kay was going, whoa. And honestly, it was her winning and seeing all that. I thought that probably gave me the energy to stay awake from 10 o'clock that night till 3 o'clock in the morning for me coach back.
Yeah, because didn't you have to get a coach from Cheltenham back to London, wasn't it? On my imagining things.
Yeah, it's
It was a long
going there
journey.
and coming back. It was not straight. It was Sunderland to London, London to Cheltenham. And so I had to get the coach at 3 o'clock in the morning from Cheltenham, get to London, then London to Sunderland. And I think altogether I was like awake for 30 hours with with like no sleep at all. And I had a workshop that night when I got back home. So it was like I literally got home, had something to eat, crashed out for 2 hours, and then got up and 10 minutes later was on the Zoom call
Oh,
talking about the slam.
no, I'm too old for that. I'm way too old for that. God, even when I first got going and so-called word mark, so when I was in my mid-30s, I couldn't have done that then. I definitely can't do that now. Oh, God, I'm getting tired of thinking about that one. Good God. Now, obviously, beside doing poetry, I know you've had a turn, and you've gone back to this now as a stand-up comic, haven't you?
I have, yeah.
I want to learn about that as well. Then tell us what was your experience like as a stand-up comic? I presume this was up where you live in South Shields way, was it?
It was at the stand in Newcastle, yeah.
Newcastle, yeah.
It was just something I've been interested in, always wanting to experience it. And I remember it was literally just I did a stand-up comedy workshop when I was in uni in December 2015 with John Scott, an amazing, amazing stand-up comedian. And that was give me the courage to be like, I'm going to apply for Red Raw, they call it, where you want to try stand-up comedy at the stand, you apply for that. It's gotten so much difficult now to get in, by the way. Red Raw used to be just you emailed and they would tell you with one date you do. Now it's you have to go through a list of details. You might not hear back from them. You may get rejected, but at least they give you two stand-up dates now. It's changed so much. But like I was 19 when I did my first one, yeah, and I was so nervous. But I think I did good. I want to say I did good. And then I did another one a few weeks after at a pub in Newcastle, in because it was just comedians. There was like three members who weren't comedians there, and it was just very quiet, no reactions to me material. And I was like, I'm not doing this again. And because one of my friends at the time, he was doing that charity thing where you go for like a 6 week course and then you perform. he was doing that stand-up comedy version of it, and I was like telling him about how good it is, and I was like, I may as well try and get back in. And since then, I've performed about 15 times since October last year. I've been at the stand, I've been down in Middlesbrough, I've been in Whitley Bay, I've performed in quite a few places.
I've got around there. No fair play, man. No fair play with it straight away. I think I wouldn't have the guts to do stand-up comedy. I've done unintentional comedy at least once when I did a big gig once. I'm not going to say where it was, but I went on stage, tripped up, and I joined into hoots of laughter. And it wasn't the best one because I was doing a serious set. So if I'm going to do stand-up comedy, I was tripping up all over the stage basically on purpose to hide the crap material. But no, fair play, mate.
It's a good
Now,
way to begin. Just
yeah, but you've got to make sure if I'm going to do that sort of set, I've got to have covered up properly because otherwise I'm going to be bruised as heck when I come on stage. So listen, mate. Anyway, different topic. Yeah. Now, also, you've just returned on as well is your joint podcast, the Double L podcast. Now, for your
yeah.
first episode in over a year. Now, there's a couple of things I want to ask you about this because me and the man have obviously seen your current episode. And it was very good as well. It was. So, tell us first of all, then, where does your interest in podcasting come from?
Wanting to do a podcast was something I'd been thinking about since 2020. And it was just, I didn't know really what to do or anything. And I met my friend Lola in 2021. And it was a year later over a Zoom for a production meeting in 2022 where she messaged us being like, no, she's watched it back. And of course, me and her were going back and forward a few times with jokes to each other. And she was like, we're really funny together. I think we should try to start a podcast. I was like, yeah, let's do it. And that was like November. And then nothing came about until January 2023 when we probably could have done better because all we did was we started a Zoom call, no plan, just chatting away for nothing. And we did a few like that, where except we had some topics, and it was I want to say about fifth episode where we realised we're going to be a podcast that talks to actors, and then ever since then we've interviewed a lot of people. Like we've been lucky to interview a lot of people, but we've learned as we've done it. We've learned a lot. We've learned how to approach people. We've learned how to, ask the questions. And it took a while to find our feet with the podcast, but at the moment where we are now is we've we know what we're doing. And we took a break because a lot of things got in the way. Because there was the strike over in America, the actors and writers strike, and obviously you can't get someone whose union isn't on strike to do a podcast about their work. And then when that strike ended, we thought, oh, great, we're going to be able to get people back. But no, there was no work to promote. So it just took a while for that to happen. And then we got busy filming one of our own projects. So we had no time there. And it was only weeks ago that we got an email from a PR person asking about like it because they had watched one of our interviews, and I think we had approached them in the past about an interview with a different actress, but they were like, "Do you want to interview Brandy because she's got some songs coming up that are released, and this would be a good promo for her?" We're like, "Yeah, we'll do it." And sitting down like it was the first one we did in person where I wasn't on Zoom, Lola was on Zoom, and we had the other person. This was me and her in the same room. And just being back, it was amazing to be back. It was like I didn't realize how much I'd missed it, but it was still there. We knew what to do, and I'm glad the episode's been released, and we're planning more interviews. So yeah, check the Double L show out.
Good one. And obviously, we're going to do more plugs later on, but that can be found on all the usual networks, can't it? So I saw it on, I think it was YouTube I saw it on, actually.
It's on YouTube for the visual one, then Apple Podcasts, yeah, Amazon Music. all the regular podcast
Yeah.
places that you listen to, you can find it on there.
Very similar to what we do here, really, because people obviously might be watching us on YouTube, Instagram, or any of the usual networks. But yeah, I agree with you. It's good. I'm gonna speak to you about that later. I'm gonna spend on mind getting Lola on there at some point actually to get learn more about her techniques. 'Cause I know there's some things you both do very individually in this podcast. So
Yeah.
what do you bring to the table with the podcasting side of things yourself? And so, 'cause I think Lola's got the reach. She knows people, doesn't she? I think is that right?
It's just how she's been doing things is even when she was younger, she was had come to like message like celebrities on like Instagram, on Twitter, X, now whatever you call it. And she knows sort of like how to reach out to them and get them. And she writes a lot of the questions. And what I try to do is I try to think of what a question that wouldn't have been asked. That's all. Like both of us think that way is, well, we know what people will say in an interview. What's something they've probably never been asked before? And so we both have to think, compare, and we'll go in and because especially with whoever we get, we'll probably have different expertise. Like with Brandy, Lola was in it for the music side. I was in it for her Broadway career. So Lola asked the questions about that, and I asked questions about other things that would interest me. So it's that varied aspect of, what their passion is, what mine is, right? Questions about what you know, right? Questions about what I know. And so it's a mixed bag, back and forward like that.
Yeah, I think it's a good way of doing it, different approaches with it, certainly. Like I know whenever I do spot this is tip talking trade, talking shop now review moments, but you're right, is whenever I'm doing sort of podcasts like this, is I often sit down and work out roughly what I want to ask people. But then like you've got to learn, I do like a rough running order, but then like I'll give it sort of enough space so I can have asking other questions in between it. And I think you're right. You've got to, when you're doing good podcasts, to particularly some quite famous major people, which I've had a couple on recently, is I've had both the two big ones, I've had two massive ones on recently, one of which is not out yet as well. But they both said to me already they want to come back on next year. So when you've got something like that, they're asking about coming back on again, you've done something right at the show.
Yeah,
You
we've
know,
had
not that I'm not my
a
guess
few
I'm as
people,
big as
yeah.
yours, I don't think, but they've been
We
good
no, we've
stuff,
had
yeah. Mm,
a few people come back on. So
mm.
like, for example, I think like Cindy Sampson has been on more than once, and she's amazing to talk to. If you're a Supernatural fan, definitely you'll know her. Or Private Eyes, because that's coming back, isn't it? Private Eyes. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
amazing to speak to her.
Yeah, I'll speak to you about that later because obviously, as you know already, somebody that sat in the other room where we live is actually a Humper Dumper Supernatural fan, right? So that might end up happening yet. I'll speak to you about that separately, right? But yes, anyway, I found out before, obviously, last minute is when they came off me out, and it wasn't on my initial running orders to you about your dark web stories. You've done some other podcasts, haven't you, as well? Solo stuff. I want to learn about these next off you as well.
Yeah, it's a really weird way how things turn out because or how things start because they started because I was doing this thing on Twitter at the time in 2023 where it was like an interactive story, sort of choose your own path. So I would do a story, just write something in the character limits that you have on Twitter, and I would give like an option of like, what do you do? Do you A, run to the left, or B, run to the right? Leave it for a week, see what people pick, and then write the next part. And I think I did that for like a good 6 weeks.
Yeah,
In
six episodes of that one. I think it's really clever, actually.
in because at the time I was part of what do you call it? Like a video game group where or company. It was I can't describe it, but we were like a group. We had a name, everything. And one of the things was is they said we're going to be releasing stories. Can you write? I think it was like one a week, a chapter a week. I was like, yeah, cool. I'll do that. And so for months, I was writing non-stop, every recent a story every week, and then adding chapters on. I created the Dark Web series because of it, and they were very popular. And me, one of the people on in the group who was a YouTuber as well, he did like YouTube videos reading the stories out, adding sound effects in what the podcast is his audio of him reading it. It uploaded onto Spotify, I think it was. And it was just amazing how many people enjoyed them. And one of the things what they did was is the guys in Australia, Colin, who ran the group and published these stories on originally the Wattpad, is he got them all together when the stories were finished, and he published them on Amazon as paperbacks. And they're not available now, but I've got copies dotted around the house from 2023, and it's just really weird to look at them thinking that was a weird time in my life. But it was good because I was writing daily. But definitely, if you're a horror fan, listen to those episodes because it was some really good ideas I got back then, for a killer controller, a simulate life simulation game where it happens in the real world. Uh, I think the best one I liked was the dark web one because it was so fun to think of ideas of what could happen on the dark web to this live streamer who gets taken in by it.
Yeah, no, I agree with you completely with that. Oh, God. It's a fascinating concept, the dark web. A quite terrifying one as well because not my family, but somebody's family is not in this room. Freaked Amanda out a couple of the other last year actually, for saying she's stumbled onto the dark web and she hadn't. She hadn't. So, but yeah, anyway, I'm keeping off family today. Right, yeah. Now, obviously, I know you've got a big love of photography as well, haven't you? As well. So,
That's something that has,
yeah, has that
yeah,
been around with you quite a long time as well? Then your photography love.
not really. I think it mainly came about last year when I was helping my friend Lola out doing concert photography.
Oh
And
yeah.
funny enough, I was like, I bought my own camera last year because of it. I've practiced a lot. And it's just something that's so creative because you just look at the outside world and you try to think what would look nice. You have to practice a lot. You can do it on your phone because I am going to be mentioning now the other C, Courtney, who
Hi,
has
Courtney.
just
See,
had,
I've not mentioned you here. Blame me.
yeah, it's me again. And because Courtney has had some photos published, one of them being used as the cover, and that
Yeah.
was a photo taken on an iPhone. So yeah, cameras are great, but iPhone you can just go out about and take, but like definitely use the cameras if you're going to be doing something professional. Like we did the Shires last year at Sunderland in the fire station. We did Glassville. We're doing the Shires again in August, so that's going to be something to look forward to. And I don't know when this is going to be released, but we might be doing Luke Combs UK, the guy who does the cover songs of Luke Combs. We're doing him as well at some point.
Well,
So
if you can get us on the guest
we've
list
got
for
some.
any country concert coming to Manchester, I know somebody sat in the other room that would be eternally grateful, right? That's all I'm going to say there. So, no, but no, good stuff, man. Seriously, mate, that's excellent indeed. Now, the last thing I really want to touch on today with you is before we do to go into the hard sells and all the bits and pieces is, and I could do I'm going to speak to him about this seriously. We might bring you back on for a special yet for our Cloaked in the Shadows podcast. But I know you've got quite a bit of interest in the paranormal, haven't you, as well?
I do.
So now, obviously, I don't want to go tons of detail on this because this may well be a separate episode. What I know of you, Lee, probably will be. So, what is your interest in the paranormal?
It's something I've always loved because I've had experiences since I was a young kid. And it's just something so interesting about it. It's you hear all these stories about it, and it's just something to like someone's spirit who's passed away being here, moving things, and just it's just I can't describe. It's just one of those things where it's like, how cool is it? Like things like that can happen, and it's just so you. I remember like looking up Enfield Poltergeist when I was 13 years old, watching so many videos and documentaries on it, all the TV shows, and probably why I love horror movies as well.
Oh,
In
blimey. We're going to have to get you another
the
talking on this.
paranormal as well, make really good stories because you could do so much with it.
Yeah, no, I agree. What's your favourite horror film, man? Have you got any
Ooh,
favourites?
Hellraiser is definitely
What?
my favorite.
The first one.
The first one.
Yeah, it's a go. Yeah, I like the second one actually, probably more than that, actually, in
Second one's
terms.
really good, yeah.
Yeah. I think I've seen the third one, but then there's been others beyond that, and I've lost count, to be honest with you,
Oh,
so.
third one is there's a few characters I like in it, but it's just so different and wrong. And
Yeah,
the fourth one I only watched because I like a line in it. I like the pain line.
I've not seen
Yeah.
it, can't comment. I haven't seen the third one, and I know Clive Barker didn't have a lot to do with the third one, so that's probably why I didn't enjoy it a lot. So, but yeah, point. What's my favourite horror one? My favourite horror one is probably The Exorcist 3, actually. Legion, actually.
Three's three's pretty decent.
Yeah, I
As
do
long as
like.
it's not two, which is horrible.
Yeah, it's a funny one because there's meant to be another cut knocking around in Legion, apparently. I don't know if it's out yet. That where because when they came out of the cinema originally, I saw it was about 19 in the cinema. They cut it to pieces. They did. They cut tons out. And there's going to be like an extra about an hour, 40 odd minutes, not on the film version. So
Damn.
I've got to look into that. But anyhow, that's rumours going around anyway. So anyhow, listen, we'll do talk about horror films another day, mate. Now,
Yes.
I know at the moment you've got quite a bit going on project wise coming up. So it's hard to ask you, know you because you're like me what's coming up. So surprise me, mate. Leave it that way.
Well, at the moment, on the filmmaking side, over on Vision Ed Media, we are filming for a project called We Are Gold, which is about to raise awareness for FND, functional neurological disorder, as well as POTS, the postural orthopobic tachycardia syndrome. It's a mouthful, I can't even pronounce it. And we've been filming for that for months, since January. We've had to change it up because one of the actresses has left the role, and so now we need to redo a lot of things. But we're
Better.
planning that ahead. We've got characters cast, and yeah, that is definitely something that's going to happen. I don't know when it'll be released, but we're definitely filming more this year. So head over to Vision and Media on YouTube and have an eye because there's loads of projects on there as well. We're doing some music videos as well pretty soon. So that's really fun to look forward to.
No, definitely that. Now, create writing size. I know you've currently, I think you're going to be marketed around, aren't you? A poetry
Yes.
chapbook. That's correct, isn't it? Now, obviously, I
I've,
don't want to give tons of
yeah,
that away because obviously I know it's, should we say, getting submitted round. But is there anything you want to reveal about that?
it's a narrative poetry journey. There's the character is the reader. I made sure to not mention he or she, but they, the character, you are the person experiencing it basically. And it's just a journey through a very haunted house. It's psychological horror as well. There's 20 poems, it's about 44 pages, and it's about you experiencing this house that's full of mysteries. It's called The House Built on Shadows.
So brilliant. That sounds interesting, that one, Dave, mate. Now, is there anything else you want to reveal? Because obviously you've got more podcasting in mind as well, haven't you?
We've got no guests confirmed at the moment, but we have reached out. We're meant to have Ross Mullen on the other week, but unfortunately had to cancel it. And he would be known for playing the Silence in Doctor Who. He played the White Walker who was on the horse in Game of Thrones, and
Brilliant.
voiced Nev the Bear.
Of course.
Everybody.
No, that's a good. Yeah, and I get it. But he said it's sometimes some podcasts work if they do it weekly, like this one does. But something like that, yours, it's sometimes it's better if you take your time between episodes more anyway. And
It's
that way,
basically when we can get the people on.
yeah. No, that's I mean, it's not it's something you can't do it straight away, and I get it completely with that one, mate. So, but apart from that, should we say? To keep people guessing, aren't we? Then because there's
Oh
lots
yeah.
more coming up with you straight away. It's like I saw you recently do. poetry online, didn't you, when you did your first headline spot there as well? And you were very
Yeah,
good that day
spoken
as
word
well.
online.
So yeah,
Yes, that
spoken
was
word online.
fantastic.
Yeah, that was like I said, that was a great experience because I knew you were up for that when you were doing that. And it was great. It was a really good night that was actually. So respect to the guys who do that one. So
And I
right.
think I can announce now that I've going to be a headline in Accessibility Arts at some point in the future.
Ooh.
DK has asked us. He says I'm on the list. He says, "Would you want to?" I said yes. He says he'll get back to us when he knows when. So I'll be doing that at some point in the future. So look out for that.
Indeed, to keep your eyes on that one. This podcast won't be out for a bit. It never is straight away spoken label. So, like, who knows? If it's been announced by that stage, this gets released, it'll be on the write-ups. So have a look on the write-ups. Now,
Okay.
see, there's a lot of links you could give here, Lee.
I
The
can't.
last question, this could take half an hour alone. So, where would people best go to find if you want to speak to you seriously?
If you want to find me, best way to do that is on Instagram. It's the_Lee_McShane. That's MC, not MAC. If you want to see Vision Ed Media, go to YouTube, Vision Ed Media, type it in. You'll find all our work there, the podcast, our short films, or in that's where We Are Gold will be. And if you want to listen to the podcast on the go, Spotify, Amazon Music, any way that you prefer, whatever app you like.
Brilliant. Now, I said there's lots to check out, so no, great stuff. Good luck for the future, Lee, and I know you're
Thank
going to
you.
keep in touch anyway, mate. So there's no danger
Yeah.
of that one. Not with the two young ladies that I've not named them, so you can name them again if you want to. I've been a gentleman today.
Charlotte, Courtney,
Yeah,
it's me again.
yeah. See, not me. I can't get blamed for that this time. But seriously, I know you've been keeping in touch with me, and anyway, mate. And I'm hoping to get you down to speak easy some point in the future. And who
I'll
knows?
definitely be back.
Well, we'll meet in person again. Maybe near your woods in the new year as well. So, right. I know. Listen, folks, we're going to take a quick break here. Let Lee get composed because he's got the hard work to do in parts 2 and 3 now. So, thanks again, mate. I've actually fully enjoyed this today, mate. Thank you again, mate. Okay, folks, that's the end of part 1 of this. So we shall back in 2 shakes of the dice.